I honestly believe you're gonna want to stick to the end of this video if you want to be convinced why I think every Christian should be working on transforming their cities to become Christian cities. So stick with me, it's gonna be a good one. If you're like me, you've probably walked through your city, the city you grew up in, and you've had this thought, something's different. And maybe you're thinking about it, you're like, I can't quite put my finger on it. Just kidding. You probably know exactly what the problem is. Our cities are getting worse. There's way more broken families. There's so much homelessness. There's so much loneliness. People are depressed all around. Everything feels divided. The solutions that people have, they're all different. Children are growing up in our cities very much confused. And the worst part is churches are quieter than ever. It seems like there's no solutions that are actually working, that are actually making a difference. But I think there's a reason for this. I think it's honestly because we're looking in the wrong place for this transformation. What if the future of our world is not actually in the next election or in the laws that we see or even who has the money and who doesn't? But what if the solution is something else? If you study the wars in history, one thing becomes obvious very quickly. Whenever anyone wanted to conquer another nation, they did it in a very specific way. Okay, just think with me for a second. If you're a military leader and you're trying to capture another nation, you don't capture the fields, you don't try and take the whole nation at one time. What do? The Ottomans sieged Constantinople, and after they took it, the whole Eastern Empire fell. In World War II, the Germans used blitzkrieg, and they went straight past the French defenses, straight to the capital, Paris, and they took all of France in less than 6 weeks. Putin is trying to do the exact same thing today in capturing the most important cities in Ukraine. Why? Because cities are where the power concentrates. Cities actually shape the economy. They have their own governments. They shape the education. They shape the media. They're very, very important. If you control enough cities, you'll eventually shape the direction of a nation itself, the whole thing. And honestly, this might sound dramatic, but it seems like we're in some kind of war of its own. Not with bullets and bombs, but a war of ideas, a war of values, a war of what is true, a war over what children believe, and especially what our churches are allowed to speak about and what they're not. Most people think a city is just infrastructure, but a city is much more than that. A city is a network of institutions, incentives, fears, values. A city quietly teaches people what is normal and what's not, what success looks like, what relationships look like, what matters, what doesn't matter. The longer you live in a city, the more that city is going to shape you. Even if you don't notice it, cities have their own discipleship system. The question is, what is your city discipling people towards? So then how does this come back to my Christian faith? I think this is honestly where a lot of Christians get stuck. Because as believers, you and I, we care about faith and morality in our church and discipleship. But when it comes to business and education and media and politics and healthcare, many of us assume that world belongs to somebody else. So then our faith becomes private. It becomes personal and hidden and ineffective in transforming the world outside of us. At best, many Christians learn how to survive culture, but none of us rarely learn how to shape it. But Jesus never said, you're the light of the church building. He said, you are the light of the world. And he goes on to say, you are a city set on a hill. A city set on a hill cannot hide its light. You see this light from everywhere. People will see that light from far away. And Jesus goes on to say, let your light shine before everyone so that they would see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. They should see something. They should see stronger families. They should experience honest businesses. We should see the love of Christians in the streets. Christianity was never meant to stay trapped inside the four walls of a church. Faith has to become visible. It has to be seen by people. So maybe the question is not, what's wrong with society? The Bible already tells us that we live in a broken, fallen world. The question should actually be, where is our light shining? Because if it's dark out there, that means the light isn't lit. It's not showing to the world the light. And more importantly, where has God placed you already to shine that light? Because honestly, change actually usually never happens at the top. The top is bought by the world most often. The change we actually see most places comes from the ordinary people living out their lives in faith. One teacher, one parent, one school bus driver, one entrepreneur, one pastor, taking a step of faith, living to shine their light to other people. And this happens when one person decides, I will not hide my light. I won't cover it. I will let it shine to the world that all will see. And this is a much lower place than transforming your whole nation, transforming your government, trying to elect this politician. And it brings it down to actually something that you and I can both be a part of. And this is something that could actually transform our cities. Cities shape the people who live in them. They shape culture. They shape families. They shape morality. They shape the education system. And they shape the future of what our world will become. And whether we realize it or not, every single one of us is already participating in shaping the culture around us, whether for good or for bad. But the question is, are we doing it intentionally? So before you click on to the next video, I want you to do something simple. Take 10 minutes, go outside and do a prayer walk around your block and ask God one question. What kind of a future is being built in your city? And bring that back to the next video. We're going to explore one of Jesus's teachings that completely changed the way I think about transforming my city.